Some bruising, beefy, and beautiful bowl games are on tap this weekend, including the college football playoff semifinals, Alabama versus Cincinnati, Michigan taking on Georgia. Here to break it down with me is DraftKings contributor Julian Edlow. Well, we've got a handful of games on the menu New Year's Day. So which one do you have a good read on right now?
The New Year's Day bowls are spectacular. I'm going to have a lot of plays here. I think Arkansas is going to beat Penn State. I think Notre Dame is going to beat Oklahoma State. I think both of those teams are in really good spots. But my favorite spot here is Utah and Ohio State by far. Motivation plays such a large role in these bowl games. And what is Ohio State's motivation? They wanted to win a national championship here. And they wound up losing 2 games and getting knocked out essentially of everything by Michigan on the last week of the regular season. So they'll probably be resting some guys that have NFL hopes. And then Utah starts 1-2. They start ripping off wins. They destroy an Oregon team twice that beat Ohio State earlier in the season. I think Utah, had they played Cam Rising at quarterback from the start of the season, would be a 1-loss team. They'd be in the college football playoff and be a team we think of as better than Ohio State. So I'll take the 6.5. I played it at +7, but I think Utah outright over Ohio State on New Year's Day.
It's kind of crazy. Somehow the Utes went the entire season, too, playing just one quarterback among the top 40 in passing yards. So could have their work cut out for him against C.J. Stroud and company. He's got to.
Nope, they're going to win.
Okay, sounds good, buddy. Just playing devil's advocate. Hey, let's get to the big boy since you're a big boy. In the first semifinal, we have powerhouse Alabama taking on sweet little Cinderella in those glass slippers, the Cincinnati Bearcats, who are huge dogs here, buddy. You feeling the upset? Hey, possibly the little guy covering? Both? Neither?
Right. So 2 completely different questions, right? 13. Can they lose by 13 or less? Certainly. Can they win the game? I don't see it happening. And Cincinnati deserves credit. Like, they have good NFL players on their roster. They're not quite this little engine that could. Like, they have an NFL quarterback. They have 2 of the top 10 cornerbacks in the NFL draft. So, no Mechie, the wide receiver 1 for Alabama. Those cornerbacks are going to come in handy in slowing down this Alabama passing offense. In the end, it's going to be too much. Alabama's going to win this game. I haven't bet the spread, but I think it's going to be a game, Alabama by 10, something like that. So I would lean to Cincinnati covering. I'm not going to bet it, and Alabama's going to win this game and advance to the national championship.
That's right. Offensive line, too, is diminished there for Alabama. It's their worst rushing season since 2006, so maybe Cincinnati decides to attack it that way. Game 2 looks to be a little tighter here, Jules, between Georgia and Michigan. Bulldogs have a good defense, but one that was exposed in the SEC championship game to Alabama, against Alabama. What are the chances Michigan can do the same, dude?
Michigan doesn't have the type of passing offense that Alabama unveiled in that game to get the win in the SEC championship game. Michigan's a very good running team, and that can come into play in bowl games. All this time off, less practice, running the ball is key, but Georgia stuffs the run, and Georgia can run the ball very well themselves. I think that Alabama game was an eye-opener for Georgia. There are some early COVID concerns on the Georgia side, which is a little bit frightening, but still. I think Georgia, I'm going SEC in these games. I think Georgia bounces back from the Alabama loss. I think they're a much better team than Michigan, and I think that defense comes back to life in this game. So the spread is a little heavy, but I think Georgia's going to get through in this game.
Oh, man, the Wolverines have climbed hurdles like bit by bit by bit throughout the season. Very cuddly, feel-good story, which I know you're a huge fan of, Julian Edlow. Before you take off, who's your pick to win the Natty here? You got SEC versus SEC. Which one?
Come on, roll Tide. Everybody knows I'm a Bama.
Man.
I'm a Bama guy. Alabama's coming through. They're going to do it again just like they did last year. They have an easier path than Georgia. Now, it will be tough to beat the same team twice in, whatever that is, a month, I guess 5 or 6 weeks span. So it's not going to be, in the style that they did it within the SEC championship game. But give me Alabama to do it again.
Aiming to win their 4th title of the college football playoff era, which dates back to 2014. It's second back-to-back in the last 10 years. It is an absolute powerhouse there in Alabama. Jules, Happy New Year, man. You're my best friend.
Happy New Year, Emerson. You are one of my friends.